Fox News alert from Capitol Hill. Big changes and signs of serious opposition as the months-long effort to deal with millions of illegal immigrants runs into new trouble. Welcome to America Live, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Senators John Hoeven and Bob Corker are on the floor right now introducing additional border security measures to the immigration reform bill. The bill's backers now ready to double the current Border Patrol forces to 40,000 and complete 700 miles of security fencing. An effort to appease those who say this law does nothing to secure the border before granting a path to citizenship for those who are here illegally now. Just about a half hour ago, several top Republican senators held a news conference, still expressing doubts even with this amendment, with Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, suggesting the deal in the Senate today is a lot like what America saw back in 1986. Listen.
Congress told the American people illegal immigration will go away as a result of this deal. What we saw in 1986 was the amnesty occurred, and yet the border never got secured. And here we are 3 decades later, and instead of 3 million people here illegally, there's some 11 million people here illegally. And this Gang of 8 bill repeats the exact same pattern of 1986, and the amendment that has been proposed today does the same thing. It starts with legalization, and it promises border security sometime in the future. Like the famed character Wimpy from Popeye, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
A separate news conference objecting to this bill is about to start on Capitol Hill. One of the men taking part, Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee. So what is it about this latest amendment that does not yet satisfy you?
Well, I have yet to see the text of it, and so I have to add that as a qualifier at the outset. But what I'm looking for, Megyn, is some indication that there's going to be verification that these things are actually put in place. In other words, we've had a number of border security measures put in place over the last 10 or 20 years, including the U.S. Visit Act and the Secure Fence Act, that have yet to be fully implemented. I want to see implementation verification as a condition to opening the legalization process. That's what we're looking for.
One of the things that the critics of this amendment have said is, look, you're going to double the size of the Border Patrol from 20,000 to 40,000. But what's to stop the U.S. Congress from turning around 6 months from now or a year from now and saying, we're putting it back to 20,000?
Yeah, I suppose that's a concern. That's pretty far down the list of my concerns, though. I don't think that's likely. I think if this passes, if it becomes part of the law, we're not likely to just turn around and undo that. And I do think beefing up border security is a good thing. To the extent that this measure would do that, it could be a good thing. But again, what I'm looking for, Megyn, is something that makes sure that this happens. Because remember, what we've been told about this Gang of 8 bill all along is that we're going to stop illegal immigration once and for all. Illegal immigration will become a thing of the past. But to make that happen in the same bill that legalizes 11 million undocumented workers in one fell swoop, we've got to have some independent outside verification that this has in fact happened.
There are other Republicans who continue to raise other questions about the bill, including Senator Orrin Hatch, who has introduced amendments that would bar immigrants from accessing health care and Social Security benefits. Does that remain a concern for you?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the significant sticking points that still remains that we've been promised all along, that these people, those who are part of the 11 million who would become resident provisional aliens and eventually citizens, that during their provisional status, they would not be eligible for means-tested welfare benefits. Well, they would still be eligible for things like the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is arguably our biggest, most expensive means-tested program out there. We were also told, for example, that they would have to pay back taxes. But when you read the fine print, Megyn, the text makes clear that they'll only have to pay those taxes that have been assessed by the IRS. Of course, if you've been working off the books as an illegal alien would, there's nothing to assess. Nothing would have been assessed, so they pay nothing.
The argument that you hear from a lot of the Republicans who are ready to sign on to this, although they'll give some lip service to we need to find a path. What are we going to do? We can't deport 11 million illegal immigrants who are in this country. But sort of behind the scenes, they'll tell you this is just a death march for Republicans if they don't do it politically, that they need to do something because we saw, it was about a 70-30 split, Obama-Romney, when it came to the Hispanic vote in the last presidential election, and that you're not going to have any more Republican presidents, never mind do very well in the midterm elections, if you don't have the support of Hispanics behind you, and this, they believe, is the way to get them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, Megan, because it's a point that needs to be addressed very clearly, and I'll attempt to do that here. Look, the fact that we need to do something doesn't mean that we need to do anything, doesn't mean that we need to do everything that the Democrats put in front of us. This is a bill that would legalize and put on a path to citizenship 11 million people in one fell swoop without any independent verification beyond the Secretary of Homeland Security that the border has in fact been secured. Most Americans are not comfortable with that. They're not comfortable with the fact that this would all be done before we've stopped illegal immigration.
The polls do show that the American public right now favor a path to citizenship, 74% to 23%, but they also want more border security, 81% to 17%. I want to ask you, because right now, some in the Senate are saying, well, we're not sure. We're not sure how this is going to shake out. Others are saying they've got the votes, and it's just a question of how many votes they're going to get. They want 70 coming out of the Senate to send it to the House with momentum. Do you think this bill is in any trouble in the Senate?
I don't think they're going to get to 70. I do think it looks somewhat likely at this point that they could get to 60, maybe into the mid to high 60s. But it remains to be seen, because it remains to be seen what's going to happen with some of the remaining amendments.
And what do you think is going to happen over in the other body?
It's going to be dead on arrival in the other body, because fortunately the House of Representatives has taken the better view, which is the view I've been advocating for many months on this issue, which is that we need to address this problem in segments. We need to address it in the proper sequence. We need a bill dealing with border security. We need a bill dealing with visa modernization so that we can bring our visa system into the 21st century. Once those programs have been enacted, once they've been put in place, we'll be in a much better position to assess the needs of the 11 million undocumented workers and to figure out how we can best treat them with compassion and dignity in a manner that's consistent with justice.
Senator Mike Lee, thank you for being here, sir.